a.m. to 5 p.m.
This December, the border transforms into a hub of innovation, culture, and opportunity. It's the Border Breakers Innovation Festival 2024.
Happening from 12th to 15th December at the Busia Border Primary Grounds. And our chief guest, we're honored to welcome the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, Minister of East African Community Affairs. Together, we'll celebrate unity, progress, and prosperity for the community.
Join us for 4 unforgettable days of free medical camp, culture showcases, agriculture and entrepreneurial exhibitions, and groundbreaking innovations bridging Kenya and Uganda. To exhibit, contact 0773 458 492 or 074 668 449. Brought to you by
The Homes and Construction Expo is back. Are you looking for answers to your property and real estate development questions? Come and interact with experts in the industry, including architects, engineers, developers, interior designers, financiers, and more from 30th November to 1st December 2024. The expo will be at the Millennium Park, opposite Philip Omondi Stadium, under the theme Affordable Housing, Innovations and Technology. There will be captivating exhibitions and insightful discussions daily. Entrance is only 10,000 shillings per day. To book a stall, contact 0772 354 940. The Homes and Construction Expo is brought to you by New Vision.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, which is an extension of Good Morning Uganda. Now, we're always here from 6:30 every morning. I, Najuma Olive, Joram Paul Sonko, and Ruben with sports updates to ensure that you start your day very, very informed of what is happening locally and internationally, and also some light moments. Sometimes the night could have been so dark, but we make sure we spice up. We give you the vibe to start the day. So make it a date with us every weekday. And of course, Friday is special edition of Good Morning Uganda. Now we come to the extra, where I usually have a guest or guests in studios, and we look at issues of national concern, things that really matter and important to you as an individual, to our country, the continent, and the world at large. Now today, I have a very hard topic. If you remember during school, there would be those topics. You may not have done any bit of chemistry, but please, what I'm discussing is a bit technical. But the good news is I have experts with me. Yes, it's not going to be, to be only me, things of atomic key. Well, but just sit. I know you're going to enjoy this discussion. Now today we are looking at regulation of atomic energy applications in Uganda. If you did some physics, some chemistry, when you hear the word atomic, I was telling my guests before I went on set that I last remember very prominent atomic bombs and all that. But now they're telling me this is something different. Why would you miss such a discussion? Now join me, welcome my guests in studios. I have Madame Nisima Lin, who happens to be a senior Radiation Protection Officer, that is at the Atomic Energy Council. Very smart and ready to give me more of this information. You're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And at the extreme end, I have a man who looks to have done sciences at all means, and of course while in school. I have no doubt this person did sciences. They usually looks like similar. Now I have Biamukama Abdurazak. He's also a senior radiation protection officer at the Atomic Council. Scientist. I highly doubt you didn't do science.
Yes, good morning viewers, and glad to be here. Yeah.
Now with these two experts and me, your host Chirabo Robert, we are going to dive into this lovely topic. And I hope you're seated and concentrating. That is regulation of atomic energy applications in Uganda. Now, I just want to understand. Kindly, let me begin with the lady here. give a brief background about the establishment of the Atomic Energy Council, its mandate, mission, as well as vision.
Thank you. Good morning, dear viewers. Atomic Energy Council is a government body. It was established by an act of parliament, the Atomic Energy Act, CAP 154. CAP is chapter 154. We are under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. The mandate of Atomic Energy Council is to regulate the peaceful application of ionizing radiation in the country. We have
now problems have started. Problems have started. So please simplify some of these things for my viewer to better understand them. You said Anna.
Okay, maybe I will start with the applications of ionizing radiation. Applications is like what uses or utilizes.
Yes.
Ionizing radiation is energy that has the ability to change the DNA of somebody. It comes from the atom. From the introduction we had about, you should have done some little physics and chemistry. So it's energy from the atom that is used or utilized or put in applications that we use. So any energy of that nature that has the ability to move, okay, not to be so scientific, but to try and bring the point home, has the ability to move an electron from one shell to another, thus cause change in DNA, is what we regulate. Yes, so atomic energy is the national regulator for peaceful applications. We have these peaceful applications, maybe we will speak more about them in the country. So we are there to ensure that the people that are using these applications, the patients, for example, that go and utilize these applications, the different places that we utilize these applications, for example, the airport, the border points, atomic energy is there to make sure that they are applied safely and securely, with something in mind that if these applications are not utilized in the right way, they could actually cause harm.
Thank you, Lynn, about that. Now, allow me also bring in the gentleman on set to also again break down. Now we know what the council does, but also break down, maybe simplify it deeper when you talk about atomic energy. She said to ensure that this is energy that can change a person's DNA. I want my viewer to be in sync with what we are talking about. Also maybe give us forms where this particular energy is, so that they better understand when we talk about regulation of this form of energy. What is this?
Well, thank you, moderator. Of course, just to say that the peaceful application of this energy in Uganda started in around 1967, when we became member of the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a national body, a United Nations body that is responsible for promotion of peaceful application of atomic energy in the whole world. Of course, this one followed the Fukushima and Hiroshima bombing during the Second World War, and then a declaration of peace energy, atomic energy for peaceful application was made. Now, in Uganda, since then, we started utilizing this energy in hospitals for diagnosis of diseases and treatment of diseases like cancer. When you go to the Uganda Cancer Institute, we have these machines that are using this energy. That if once they diagnose you with a tissue, with a tumor or cancer, they will ask you to undertake different treatment options. You can go for chemotherapy using some chemicals, some medication, or they can recommend you to use this ionizing radiation. So this energy, like she said, it has the ability to change the DNA of someone's cell. Now, in the same vein, changing the DNA of this cell, it can also kill this cancerous cell in a way that we protect the person. We eliminate the affected or the bad cells, and we remain with only the good cells. But also, when you are having some chest pain or you are coughing relentlessly, then the doctors can recommend you to have an X-ray, chest X-ray, to check on how your lungs are performing, or if you have some kind of we call it TB, tuberculosis, or any other kind of infection within the within the lungs. Now, in industries, also we are using this technology in beverage companies to determine the level of the beverage, of the sodas and the beers. You can see all these sodas are always having the same level. So we use this technology to ensure that the level is not above or below the normal or the required standard. We also use it in the construction of roads for compaction to check on the density of the soils and the moisture content within the soils. There are quite a number of applications we can talk about. We cannot exhaust them. Maybe at some point we can have a larger talk to see, because they are also used in research, in agriculture to control pests. We have the chasseur flies and all that kind of stuff. So it has a broad range of application in the country for peaceful applications.
I love the word peaceful applications, because these are dangerous.
Yeah.
We must say, and if they are not used in a peaceful manner, then trouble can come. No wonder we have the council. Now I'll come back to Lynn again to look at more of the roles and functions of this Atomic Council. Now that we really know exactly what we are discussing, the atomic energy, the the benefits of it, but also on the other side. So this council, what is your mode of operation?
Thank you. Atomic Energy Council is a regulator. So as a regulator, we make regulations for the people that utilize these applications. We also go ahead and give authorization or licenses before you actually bring whatever application it is. Like my colleague said, if it's an X-ray machine, if it is the baggage scanner, because we also use them in scanning baggage, you reach out to the Atomic Energy Council and acquire authorization to possess and use this application safely. Before we give you that authorization, we conduct inspections. So another function is to conduct inspections to ensure that where these applications are used, they are actually used safely and securely. We do also do communication and consultation with the public. For example, like today we are here listening to our viewers to tell them more about what Atomic Energy Council does and where we can be found and all. Not only on TV stations and radio stations, but we also go out to the different regions of the country to maybe train the people that actually are applying these applications. We train the radiation workers, we train the legal persons, and do more sensitization about the effects and how to securely and safely utilize these applications. We also help in emergency. Good thing we haven't had any issue of emergency that is dealing with radiation. But like my colleague had said, if maybe God forbid there was that issue of Fukushima and all, Atomic Energy Council is competent enough to provide assistance during such emergencies. Yes, just to
now you talked about the regulations, but I want to be more deep when it comes to regulation. Now, what are the regulated practices in Uganda here? Yes, Razak.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, before I talk about the regulated practices, I just wanted to draw a line between peaceful application and safe use. Yeah, peaceful application means that the practice is or the energy is going to be used maybe in the medical for treatment or for any practice that benefits the society. Now, safe use is now on the actual practice. Peaceful use is at a national policy position. We make a decision and we say we shall utilize this, we shall not utilize it in military or any other practice, but we shall use it for medical application, electricity generation, and all that kind of stuff. Now, when it comes at the facility, we are saying you should operate safely. Now, safely is also broad. Now, we require you to have competently trained personnel to operate this equipment. We should expect you to have adequate personal protective equipment in place and the procedures and the like. So I just wanted our listeners to just draw a line. When you talk about peaceful application and when you talk about safety or security, operating safely and securely, there is a very big difference between the two concepts. Now, where do we utilize this technology? Where do we utilize atomic energy and nuclear energy in Uganda? So one we mentioned about in hospitals for treatment of patients. For treatment is largely cancer, treatment of cancer, but diagnosis can be quite a number of illnesses. We can have dental issues and you need a dental x-ray. We can have a chest issue and we need the x-ray, plain x-ray. We can also use it during the interventions when they are doing operation on a patient. And we have what we call interventional radiology, that we have a film where you can see what is happening as the treatment or procedure is taking place on machines that we call fluoroscopy machines. Now, screening of cancer, in the breast cancer, we also have some machines that use this atomic energy that we call the mammography machines. So that is in the medical application. Now, in industry, we talked about quality controls in industries for density gauging, for moisture gauging, and others. But also remember, in the oil and gas industry, they are doing some drilling of the oil. So in there's what we call oil well logging. If you want to quantify the amount of oil in a given well, so we use this radioactive material to perform this activity. They are also constructing the oil pipeline. It is a very huge and long pipeline. So these weldings which are being done at different points, we need to be sure that there is no, the welding is perfect in a way that we shall not have outflows of the oil during the, so we call it the non-destructive testing. In security, if you go at the major border points, we have installations by URA customs, which are used for control of contrabands, for checking of illegal materials that are being illicitly moved into the country or outside the country. So also to remember that the government under the Vision 2040 is planning to develop the nuclear for electricity generation and nuclear for research. So these are upcoming activities that we, of course, as a regulator also need to be ready to regulate these activities which are future coming in this country.
Yeah. Well, very interesting, more so nuclear. When you hear the word nuclear for electricity and research, definitely we need a regulator, because what we are discussing today, if not handled well, then it's a different story. This is where I will bring in Lynn. Why do we see you carry out the regulation of these activities and practices? Because one would wonder, fine, if I'm importing in my scanner, for sure, I've spent my money, I know what I'm going to use it, I think I have an expert that is going to operate this. Why then should I even come to you? Why you poke into my private business?
Well, because like you said, we need to, not like you said, from our mandate we're supposed to protect the people, the public, and the environment from any effect that could come from misusing these applications, given that we've seen that actually they are useful and we can't do without them. So we regulate to ensure, one, that the member of the public around, for example, I'll give an example of a hospital, where the X-ray machine, where it is located, the room where it is located should be sufficient enough to protect the people that are, for example, in the reception or if let's say it's a washroom or any other room that is neighboring that room where the X-ray machine is. So we want to see that the person that has brought in this X-ray machine at their hospital, they have put in place measures to ensure that the public around is safe. We do this through inspections, different facilities, different times, just to make sure that the public is safe. I could be seated outside the hospital and I don't know that the room that I am seated close to is actually a source of ionizing radiation. We don't only stop at protecting the public, but we also want to make sure, for example, my colleague said if I have gone for a mammogram to check if I have breast cancer, the equipment that is being utilized to do the diagnosis of that mammogram should be able to do only the diagnosis. We have what we call performance parameters of equipment, such that when I go, I'm given the exact quantity of the dose that I'm supposed to receive. I shouldn't go to the hospital to check if I have breast cancer and then leave actually when I have been overexposed and they've actually given me the cancer instead of me checking to see. So we check that the patient that is being worked on this equipment is safe. Then we also make sure that you, the person who has brought the machine, you may not be the one that's going to operate it yourself. You will hire someone to come and do the operation. So we want to see that that person is qualified. We want to see that that person has gone through training of radiation protection and safety to ensure that they're not actually just doing it for the sake of doing it, but they're doing it to make sure that even as they work, they're protecting themselves. We have, for example, the people that work in the medical practice, they have they have clothes, we call them personal protective equipment, that they are supposed to put on as they work on these patients to ensure their safety. So as a whole, we want to make sure that the patient, the worker, and the public are protected from these effects that could arise.
Now, related to that, I want to bring in Raza, because, you know, most of the times when we know the dangers, let's look at the possible effects and health hazards that can arise out of this ionizing radiation, for our viewer to better understand that really, yes, this is something very serious. You know, for us, when we smell danger and we know the side effects, that's when we pick more interest. If I'm going for this X-ray, how prepared am I?
Okay, thank you so much. The health effects of ionizing radiation we can talk about, first of all, is to acknowledge that radiation is not entirely bad. And that's what we are saying, because that's why we are saying that you have to put in the right, you need to practice safely for you to protect what? If you do anything wrong, then the health effects could do what? Could manifest. And we are looking at the principles, or the fundamental principles of radiation. How do you protect yourself first? So first of all is the medical doctor has to be sure that the exposure, if you are going to an X-ray, that the exposure you are going to get is justified. Yes, so the benefits that you are going to receive outweigh the detriment, the danger that the radiation might cause. But if the danger has to come, the effects of this radiation could manifest in two ways. There are those which are short-term, there are those which are long-term. Now, short-term come when you are exposed to high amounts of radiation at the same time. So there you'd have some kind of headache, you'd have some kind of skin burn, you'd have some kind of vomiting. So especially for patients who are going through the treatment of cancer, because they use high amounts of high energy radiation. So the doctors at the treatment or the Cancer Institute will always take you through this. They say, these are the side effects of this exposure. You might have a feeling of general body weakness, you might have nausea, start vomiting, and that kind of stuff. But if it is entirely not for clinical use, and you get the high dose, then you'd get skin burns, and in some cases you'd get a lethal dose that would kill you within hours or days or weeks. Now, but if you get exposed to the radiation in small amounts for a very long period of time, that's when we talk about cancer. Now, for the workers in industry, for the people who are frequenting the use in industry, on the hospitals, the people who are operating these X-ray machines, if they don't put in place what she has talked about, the PPEs and ensuring adequate shielding, and today you go and work, tomorrow you go and work for the past 20 years, then we can have the incidence of cancer effects that we call the stochastic effects. Those ones which are early effects, we call them the deterministic because they manifest after a very short time. So the stochastic effects will, the latency period for cancers is from 15 years and above.
Oh.
Yeah, so you may not feel anything. You may not feel anything in the first 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but after 15 years, it's when you might start feeling something unusual. If cancer has to develop from 15 years onwards. So basically, we have two types of effects of radiation. One, the deterministic effect, that is if you are exposed to high doses at the same time. And then we are also having the stochastic effects that are chronic, that manifest after a very long time due to exposure to small quantities of doses. Because she told you that these radiation, ionizing radiation, they affect the DNA. So the DNA, the cell can repair after being damaged and die completely. That is fine because the cells normally were made naturally to do what? To die after a given period of time. But now there is when the cell is damaged and wants to repair, and the process of repair, the coding doesn't come right. Now that's when it becomes it might change into a malignant or a cancerous cell and starts progressing throughout the body. Yeah.
Well, something very serious that we are discussing, matters of health, and more so when we talk about how best we can use these analyzing chemicals, but also ensure that we are protected for peaceful, first and foremost, like Razak said, for peaceful, not to be used to fight wars like those that did history, much as this is science. Remember very well what happened, that famous bombings there. But also on peace, we had safety. So are we using them peaceful? Are we also safe? Us operating and they're operating these on. When you pass through these huge scanners at some borders, how protected are you? How safe are you? Now that is the Atomic Council that regulates all this. Allow me go for a very short break. When I return, now we want to see how the public can ensure they minimize these radiations in the various facilities where they are. How do we come on board to save ourselves, regardless of the fact that there is a council? Let's return.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Uganda, are you ready to kick things up to the next level? The Uganda National Lottery brings you Sports Stake 10. Predict the results of 10 football games and win big. With tickets at only 500 shillings, join the fun and make your predictions count with Sports Stake 10. Sports Stake 10, your ticket to football glory.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that there are some cases of Mpox detected in Uganda. The ministry, working with partners and affected district local governments, are doing their best to contain the situation. The signs and symptoms of Mpox are body rash, fever, general body weakness, headache, sore throat, nasal congestion or cough, and swollen lymph nodes. You can prevent yourself from getting infected with Mpox by avoiding close contact with people who have been confirmed to have Mpox or who have signs and symptoms of Mpox. Avoiding touching or sharing personal items like beddings, eating utensils, phones, or other belongings of a person who has the signs and symptoms of Mpox. avoiding contact, including eating with all wild animals, alive or dead, especially those known to carry the virus, such as rodents and monkeys, and those that appear sick or have been found dead. Getting vaccinated if you're among those who have been identified to be at high risk of Mpox infection. Mpox is treatable and usually goes away after 2 to 4 weeks. However, it can be severe, causing even death, especially among children, pregnant women, and those with other health conditions. For more information and support, contact your nearest health worker. Call the Ministry of Health's toll-free line on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to YouReport on 8500.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. It is the Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyinton, and in case you've just joined, well, we are looking at regulation of the atomic energy applications in Uganda. We are discussing chemistry, yes, a bit of history, when you remember the bad things that, if not well regulated or not used for peaceful purposes, this form of energy can do. And with me, I have officials from the Atomic Energy Council. That is Biamokama Abduraz, who happens to be the Senior Radiation Protection Officer, that is at the Council, at the extreme end. And just next to me, I have Lynn Ninsima, also a Senior Radiation Protection Officer at the Council. Now, before we went for a break, I had promised you that when we return, we want to see how can we, the public, be part of the efforts to minimize that is unnecessary exposure of these radiations in facilities. Lynn, please.
First, something you need to look out for when you go to a facility, a hospital or an industry or where we have these practices, we have encouraged them to put their licenses where they can easily be seen, maybe at the reception or in the room where you're going to be x-rayed, or wherever it will be. You need to inquire, are you licensed by Atomic Energy Council? Now, I know this is very strange to ask, especially if I come when I'm sick. I won't even be thinking about asking for a license. But if you can, kindly do that.
And sometimes when you're taken, because people go for x-rays, either you have a broken, they suspect
you may not
injured,
be able to,
so you're in that critical condition. Now you're taken to any hospital. An example in Zambia, you're waiting to first deposit money, then you go for these things and all these complications. Now the fact that I'll look for this license may be a bit tricky.
Yes, that is true. However, there are other means as well. The people that work in the departments or in the hospitals or in the industries, we have made sure that they are well trained and qualified to do that, so they will tell you what to do we require you to follow the instructions. For example, if he tells you maybe I'm going to cover you with the PPE that I said, if he's going to expose, for example, your arm, these other body parts don't have to receive the radiation. So when they tell you put it on, please actually put it on. And then we also require that they put warning signs around the premises. So if you see a warning sign, most times they are written on danger or they are red. We associate red, the color, with danger. So please keep away from that place. Unless, of course, you're the patient, like he said, you have to go in. Then also, we have told them to put lights. Still, they are red because, you know, red is still associated with danger. So when you see a light, when you see a symbol, we have also actually required them to translate them. For example, the upcountry hospitals or maybe industries, people may not be able to understand English, but they will understand their local language. And for those who can't read, we have told them to put symbols. One of the common symbols that we have at the hospitals is, for example, a pregnant woman is not supposed to be exposed unless it is really critical. So we've asked them to put symbols of a pregnant woman and then put a cross. That means if you're expecting, don't go near that area unless you're the patient and you need to get the x-ray. That is for the public, to make sure that at least you're protected from this radiation when you don't need to receive it.
Now that is about the public, us taking in effort. Now you talked about licensing and Razak talked about inspection. Now what does the Atomic Energy Council, Razak, check out for during an inspection? What is that you're looking for?
Yeah, in line with our mandate of protecting the people and the environment from the undue effects of ionizing radiation. So when we come to these facilities, whether in